Amy Kellogg probably thinks we're crazy, but she's live outside the Vatican with more on the visit. And the anticipation from where you stand must be pretty incredible. What was it like to see the President of the United States pull up and enter the Vatican?
He wants to go.
Well, it was an extraordinary motorcade, Julie. I've never seen such a long motorcade. I lost track of the cars. That delivered, of course, the President and the First Family and his entourage, and apparently the Pope rocked up in a blue Ford Focus. So that is also very symbolic and very telling of the differences between the two. I have to say, just from a purely observational point of view, that it seems that the most smiles were reserved for Melania Trump, watching the body language of the Holy Father and the First Family and President Trump's entourage and that expanded audience, as it's been called. I think the oh my gosh, and it sounds like the general audience is just beginning behind us, and that is the reason why this meeting was so early in the morning, because Pope Francis takes his general audience incredibly seriously every Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, and it would appear that is starting right now. So anyway, the meeting lasted about, the one-on-one between President Trump and Pope Francis lasted about 30 minutes. The shots of them walking through the of President Trump walking through the Apostolic Palace, accompanied by the gentle uomini di Sua Santità, the sort of gentlemen of His Holiness. This is an aristocratic honor guard that is very much a part of the protocol, walking down those marbled halls. It was just quite extraordinary. The women stuck to protocol with their mantillas. We saw Ivanka Trump and Melania Trump wearing the little black veil over their head, which is expected on papal visits. A few Italians have commented they wish that President Trump had buttoned his jacket. I've heard a few people talking about that in terms of the visuals. But then we saw this initial meeting between Pope Francis and Donald Trump and President Trump, and at first President Trump looked a bit more effusive, and we heard him say, "It's an honor to meet you." Pope Francis' smile took a little while to set in, but then he seemed to loosen up when they went into the library for their one-on-one. We got a few glimpses of that meeting before the doors were shut, and we have yet to get a readout on exactly what was discussed. Of course, there's been all the talk about their differences and their sort of indirect barbs at one another over walls, over borders, climate change, and any number of issues, some direct and some kind of veiled. But at the end of the day, it was a meeting that both appeared to really want, and I think it was a sense of just getting to know each other, the two possibly most powerful men in the world, and also President Trump coming off this very spiritual trip, which has brought him to the heartlands of the other Abrahamic faiths. He was in the place of the two holy mosques, being in Saudi Arabia. He was in the Holy Land of Jerusalem just yesterday. So this kind of caps it off, and I think it's an important time when you talk about the fight against terrorism and extremism to be surrounded with this spirituality and leaders who can actually do their best to change the dialogue and change hearts and minds. Julie.
Where does he head next? He's exiting at this point. We understand that the meeting and this tour will end at 9:30, and it seems that they're on a very tight schedule.
Yeah. President Trump had to meet a few other members of the Vatican hierarchy, the Curia, most importantly the Secretary of State, and then he gets to see the Sistine Chapel before heading off to meet the President of Italy, who is more not a figurehead, but not, the Prime Minister is the one who actually leads the government here, but there's also a President. So Trump will meet both of those, the President and the Prime Minister of Italy, before heading off to Brussels. Julie, it is indeed a very tight schedule.
All right, Amy Kellogg there, and you can hear in the background the beginnings of the Pope's audience on Wednesday, his general audience. Amy, thank you.